This is a fully interactive 3D website. The camera moves as you scroll. 3D elements at the bottom of the water comes into view as you navigate through each section. Everything reacts to your scrolling. I built this with prompts. I didn't touch any shaders. I didn't configure any meshes. I didn't write any 3D code. Spline just dropped a new tool called Omma, and it lets you build stuff like this just by describing what you want. And I will show you a workflow where you can barely spend any credit, so you can test it out and bring it to any platform like Lovable, V0, Bolt. In this case, we're going to use Aura. So Alma is a new product from Spline. If you don't know what Spline is, they make one of the most popular 3D design tools for the web. A lot of creators and designers are using this tool. But Spline has a learning curve. You need to understand 3D concepts, material lighting, all of that. It takes time to get good at it. But the new product, Alma, is different. You open it up, you get a chat window, and you just describe what you want in just simple English. And it will build a real interactive experience that you can publish on your own domain if you have one. What makes this special is what's happening behind the scene. It runs 3 AI agents at the same time. One writes the code for the website, one generates 3D models, and the other one creates images and textures. So all three work together from a single prompt. So when you say, let's say, build an underwater 3D website, it's not going to just write the HTML. It's going to create an actual 3D geometry, generating texture, writing the interaction, and putting everything together. And it runs on web GPU, so the graphic performance is really great. So let's have a look at the pricing breakdown. There's a free tier. You get 50 credits per month, 5 chats, and 20 messages per chat. And the pro tier is $39 a month. That unlocks everything. And you also have 2,000 credits. Then there's max at $129 per seat for teams and enterprise. But like I said, I'm going to show you a workflow where the free tier is more than enough to get started and you can iterate as much as you want without burning through the credits. So more on that in a minute. Now let me show you what I tested with this platform. So this is the first project. It's an underwater website. You can see all these 3D elements at the bottom of the water. And as you scroll, the website sections appear. So you can see all the elements here in front of the 3D background. And also when you scroll, the camera angle changes. So the view of the 3D scene shifts with your scrolling. So this is a great example on how you would use 3D elements on a website. So the whole website was built with prompts, so you don't have to work with the materials or work with the mesh or any shader. And that's the whole point of this product, because you just have to prompt it and you don't need to go into any configuration. So let's have a look at the second project. So this is a 3D typography editor. So you have the text here that you can edit. You can put any type of text, any text you want, and it's going to change it into a 3D element. So we can, try to put this text as an example. And then we have the material. So this is going to change the visual of the text. It's going to change how it's going to react with light, for example. So this is going to change a bit of the styling, and you can change it like this. So this is an editor, right? You can change the base color if you want. Also the geometry, so the depth. So this is like the extrusion and the bevel, as well as spacing between the words. And it also has a theme, like a pre-built theme. So we have the dark style and the cyber, and another one, this one that's golden, and this was created by the AI itself. So we have other options here. We have, for example, the auto rotate, where we stop the rotation and we can choose the angle that we want. And from this angle, then you can take, for example, the screenshot. You can also remove the reflective floor. So this is really interesting. So this is a great example on how the kind of project that you can build with this product, because this is so well integrated with Spline and it knows 3D very well that you can use this, build anything. Like here, we're using a text, right? We're building a 3D text, but a lot of people have been using it to build 3D assets, other stuff. Like you can build anything you want in 3D. So with the same kind of properties, the configuration that you have here on the left side of the screen, then you can have that on whatever object you're building. So that's really a great 3D asset builder. So once you have all that created, then you can use it and export it into any other project that you want to use and have it really customized for your own project. So this project right here is my favorite. So this is an SVG to 3D converter. So if you can upload an SVG and it's going to transform it into a 3D element. So from there you can change the extrusion depth, the bevel size here, the material like before. So we have here standard metallic, glass, glow. It's going to reflect the style in the 3D object. And we have the auto rotate here that we can stop, and the rotate speed as well here if you want to change that. So this is really great because um, as you know, we have models that are really great at creating SVGs like Gemini 3.1 or Opus 4.6. So when we're using this model to like any models that you're currently using to create the SVGs, then we can take that SVG and then turn it into 3D models. So essentially, you are creating 3D objects from your already platform that you're using, the LLM. So if you use ChatGPT or Anthropic or Google, then you use that with your subscription and you can create 3D models with this kind of project, this workflow. So it's really great. And this really blew my mind when I first discovered it and I first tried it out. So you can really create really beautiful and concrete 3D assets from just your LLM that you're already using. So let's try some more SVGs. So we had the diamond before. So let's try this heart. So you can see the heart here. It's really great. It's really nice. So and from this, it's not just like you can create not only like assets, but you can also create like logos for your company or for your client. You can create basically anything. Like you can create 3D icons from this and put on your project. So this is the kind of workflow that you need to test and work and iterate and come up with your own idea and your own like project. And it's absolutely amazing how this turned out. Let's try another one. We have this, for example, this one here. Here you can see this is amazing. Change the material. We have this shiny glass looking. We can try another one, and this looks more like a logo, right? So you can use this and change it into a logo. We can try this rocket here, and all this was created with Anthropic Opus 4.6. So remember that all of these projects were created with like a simple single prompt, maybe. And if you really want to take this to another level, you can iterate and really, make it so much more interesting and so much more production ready. Like this for a first prompt is already great. It's really amazing. And all of this was made with AI. There's a phoenix here. It looks a lot like, yeah, phoenix, more like a chicken. But it looks more like a logo, right? So you can definitely use this for logos. So let's get into the product itself, the Omma website. So here we have the website, and inside of it we have the discover, and we have the community page. So here is where all the users, everyone has have been building. We can see what they have created and all kinds of experimentations and all kind of creations that people have been testing it. So here we can see this project, for example. It's a 3D brick layer, Lego type of blocks. So you can drop, any kind of bricks. You can change it to something else, and then if it lets me, okay. So this project lets you create like any kind of illustration or 3D environment with the blocks. You can create like basically anything you want. And this is a really great, like fun way to explore all the capability of this platform. So there's also this pillow 3D, this 3D website pillow here, and it really shows like all the interactions that you can have with the 2D objects on this kind of platform. You see, every time you move your cursor, it's going to, the pillows are going to react to your movement, and as well as the title here with the text. So this is another great example. And this one right here is like a 3D world where you control a car in this world, and you can jump, you can, boost, shift, and everything works like like a real like a game. Like, and if you use this in a website, then we have multiple examples before where people use this kind of animation to move through their pages or sections. So depending on where you're gonna move uh, the 3D car, then it's going to navigate to that page or interact, with the content or section of your website. So this is another great way to use this platform to create something that you would need a lot of work, manual work, like you used to do, for example, in Spline itself, the Spline platform. So you have to, work on the 3D, and then the mesh, and then the texture, and this and that, and the controls, and all of this is done like with just prompts and nothing else. And if you're a creator and you build, like, for example, you can also create like games in a browser, right? So this is 3D, so you can definitely use this to create games within the browser and create assets and add to it and create a 3D world. And you can just stack up all the elements and build a really great product out of it. And the community page is where you get inspiration. You can see like what other peoples are building. Um, you can discover new features that you would never think of. You can find ideas that you wouldn't come up by yourself. So you can see the way people are using this, and it's gonna get you thinking into more creative ways how you can integrate it into your website or your project. So the most important part of this is that you can remix any of the creations that the community have been created. So you can just click on the remix here. So this is the project that I remixed to create the one that I showed you earlier, the deep sea ocean. So this is the original one. So I remixed from this. You see the same. You see the 3D elements here, and if you scroll, you can see the sections and the elements, right? So instead of starting from scratch, you can try to use find a 3D element that you like in the community, and then you can remix it. So from there, you can just like iterate and get like the project to where you want visually. So when you click on the remix, it brings it to your own workspace. So you have this prompting area here where you can just write, prompt and get your 3D object. And then at the top here, you have the preview of the project, and then you also have the code where you can, if you want, change the code or make some iteration, change some properties. So this is useful. If you want to touch it, you can do it, but if not, you can just leave it on preview and just use the prompts. Then you have the possibility to download the project, so you can copy the code or download as repo. So when you download it, you're going to get a folder with the HTML file in it. And that's the key of iterating and not using the credit.
So then you can also publish your website, your creation with the Omma brand, or if you have your own domain, then you can use it as well. So essentially, if you want to work and test, a lot of things and not waste any credit, and you want to test this platform out, then you can use your free credits for stuff that only Oma can do. Like it does it well, like the 3D generation. So the 3D scenes, the 3D interactions, their models are fine tuned and they work really well for this kind of work. So it's going to give you a better result and better than any other regular LLM would, especially in this platform, which is related to Spline. So don't worry about the website layout, all the CSS, the text, the container, this and that, the styling. Just work on your 3D asset, the 3D creation with your credit that you have. And if you have a paid plan, then, you can use more of it and make sure to use it on 3D assets for now to test it out. And so once you have your 3D assets, then you can easily, export it out into any agent, coding agent that you want. And then from there, you know that the 3D is right. Then you can just integrate it when you have all the code, right? So you just integrate it with your website and make it adapt to everything or any kind of styling that you want the website to look like, integrated with this 3D world. So once you have the source file, then you can easily import it into any coding agent that you have, the one that you use. So for example, you can bring it to Claude or, Claude Code if you use Anthropic. That's what I'm using personally. You can also bring it to Codex, for example, which is really great as well. And Gemini, like Gemini CLI. So once you have that, you bring it and it's easy and it's really easy to iterate. So with the website part, the layout and everything, the content, so that's really easy. And you can also iterate on the 3D objects and 3D codes as well, because these models are also great with logic. And this is where you can pretty much experiment, iterate, and really bring like as much creativity that you want to this project without hitting the credit limits or having to subscribe to a paid subscription.
Now, the one thing to keep in mind when you're iterating in your coding agent, it's using whatever LLM powers that agent. So if you need to make changes to an actual 3D geometry or 3D objects, then it's better to do that inside Alma because their model is specifically built for 3D work. So everything else, the website, the structure, the text, the color, layout, scroll, whatever you do in the website, then that's your coding agent. Can handle that totally fine. So the workflow is simple. Use Alma for whatever is 3D, and then use your own agent for everything else. So here's a few tips when prompting. Keep in mind that this product is new and it's still evolving. So your first try and the first iteration might not be perfect, and that's totally normal. It's only going to get better from here. Also, be specific about materials. So don't just say make it shiny or glass, something like that. Then you can ask it for like a glass material with refraction, for example, or a metallic material with low roughness. So it understands 3D materials language really well. So describe things, the way you should move, the camera angle that changes as the user scroll. For example, the object rotates, at when we hover on it. The elements come into view as you scroll down. The more specific you are going to be about the motion, then the better the result is going to be. So you can use the remix approach like I showed you. So don't start with zero every time, from zero. So you can find something that's close to what you think, what you have in your mind from the community, and then you can just remix it and build from there. So you save your credit and you don't have to start from the foundation. So also when something breaks, you just have to tell it in the same way that you would do with a teammate, a worker, someone right next to you. You would just have to tell Alma, and it's going to read the code and it's going to debug, and you don't have to do anything by yourself. Think about combining tools like the SVG to 3D workflow that I showed you. Use Claude or Gemini or any other agents to generate SVG, then turn it into a 3D object. So what's great about this platform is that right now they also have a Buildathon running right now through April 8th. So if you want to build something and get featured, then it's the perfect timing. So just to recap the workflow, use Omma's free tier or remix community projects from the 3D work and then export it into your own coding agent. So from there, you can just iterate freely. You get the best of both worlds and unlimited iteration. So let me know in the comment what you build with it, and I want to see what you guys come up with, and I will see you in the next video.